What is going on? Welcome to GoldBoys Live. I'm here with Josh and Brad. As always, we appreciate sleeper picks and Pickett Sports. How are you guys doing? It's a it's a great 2 game slate of the NBA after having 17,000 games yesterday.
I'm doing pretty good. I don't know, like, I didn't want I almost came out really arrogant, but like I normally don't have losing days in betting. Um and the fact that yesterday was
What's that
single.
Wolf of Wall Street line where he's like, I don't want to be judged by my win. I want to be judged by my loser because I have so few.
Yeah.
That's Brad.
No, like yesterday was my single worst loss of the calendar year. It was only like 4.5 units, like not that big of a deal. But like it's so funny how you lose a bad day, you have a bad day, then you go to the next day and you figure out like, well, technically, I didn't lose 4 units, but you know what I mean? Like, it felt like 4 units, and it's like,
Yeah.
how am I gonna attack the board when I don't feel like I'm seeing it clearly? If you miss what I went 3 and 6 or something like that, with a 2 unit loss, it feels like you need to kind of regroup and, like, take a step back. So I kinda did that today. I woke up with a fresh set of eyes this morning when I handicapped, and I was like, "Don't force anything, just kind of, get it back chunk by chunk."
You're saying you don't like to chase your losing days by like having a 10 unit max whale play the next day.
No, I sometimes I do, and then other times I'm like, Brad, you gotta make it 30 units.
Okay, yeah, 32 mega max 1K play from Brad.
Oh
I
my
can't wait for
god.
that.
I saw so many bet the house on the Bills money line before last Monday. So
Oh, bro, same.
like let's chill on those tweets.
Wait,
But
did I tell you guys? Oh my god, I got saved so much. So I of course I was like drinking, right? Like I haven't been drinking like that much with the baby. So
I know what you mean because you talk about it because it's a game, but that phrase like, of course, I was
wonderful,
drinking. Like it was a really
wonderful
funny.
phrase.
Yeah.
I had some drinks and I go, listen, I have to bet the Bills right now. I put 250 on the Bills money line and just put my phone down. I check back, like the Bills scored a touchdown. I check back and I go, oh, these freaking jokers didn't accept my bet. And I was so pissed all night until the Bills lost. And I was like, yes, thank you. It saved me 250 bucks. I
That's
was
fair.
so happy. It
Yeah,
like was like I won the bet actually.
yeah.
Not losing is basically winning. I mean, that's really how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold up. I'm making a thing. I can never find Brad's Twitter whenever I try to
Yeah, that's
like
cool.
search
While
him.
you do that, I'll give out a live play. It's
Oh, you have a
really
live play.
juicy. But they're down 2-0. I'm taking Sweden minus 1.9 corner handicap, so they got to win by 2. It's minus 190, but they just went down 2 goals. I know it's on the road, but like I mean, this is like the perfect situation for that.
Okay, I probably will be able to take that. I always feel like you give out these random plays, and I love them, and then I can never find them because I don't know how to navigate sports that aren't American. So,
He started giving me links directly to it,
oh,
and
Yeah, I
that's
it's
did.
great.
that's clutch. That's
Yeah,
clutch. Yeah.
yeah,
So what do you guys want to start with? Do you guys want to start with any like pressing things you have for NBA, or do you want to go right into Thursday Night Football, which actually should be a good
yeah.
game for once? I think it's actually it's a little scary that I'm excited for a Thursday Night Football game for the first time in 6 seasons.
I don't
Do
It's
think
any of
you
you guys
should
have any
be.
NBA plays yet?
I have what
Yeah,
I'm looking at, but I'm not sure which one you guys want to tackle first.
Let's go NBA first.
NBA first, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
We have 2 games. I'll play the will roll where it's like we have 2 games. We have the Nets and the Heat. The over under is 214, and the Heat are 3.5 point favorites. And then the late game is the Thunder and the Warriors. The Warriors are giving 2.5, so they're plus 120 on the money line. Over under is 226.5. I'm imagining we're mostly going to attack these with props because Will's not here, so we can skip through everything I just said and go right into the player props.
well, the only thing is the only bet that I made so far is the Thunder to win,
Me
and I'm
too.
probably gonna hit the under in a minute. But like,
The Thunder is so fun, man.
if I'm stepping in it, man, then whatever, I'm stepping in it. But like this Warriors offense was already fucking bad. Like, why do you think
Yeah.
Klay Thompson's gonna be better without Steph Curry? Why would Draymond as well? Like they had a way worse offensive rating last year without Draymond. Actually, it was like 111. And when
Yeah.
Steph was out, like their offensive rating was bad, but it didn't drop like that.
Well,
It
you
was
need the
just
Draymond Green spacing, man. You need the
yeah,
spacing of
part of
Draymond
it.
Green.
But I mean, it's just a part of him like being a facilitator and one dude who does something different than everybody else. But yeah, I hit that because like the
You
Thunder are
hit
gonna
money line or
live
did
in
you
the
hit
paint.
the spread?
The spread, yeah. It
What
was minus
spread you
two,
get it
minus
at?
2.5. I hit it both. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna take -2, a little juicy. I can
Yeah.
find a
I
juice
mean, like
producer.
the things that have to happen for the Warriors to win this game, there's so many of them, right? In terms of like basic you need his moving streams, nice. No, but also like what needs to happen? Chris Paul needs to turn back the clock, control this game like he's on the New Orleans Pelicans again, and it's like 2007. And then Clay is going to have to score more than 20 points for the first time this season. He's going to have to hit like 6 threes, which means he's going to have to shoot like 14 of them. So good luck even getting that many off. Like Andrew Wiggins, man, oof, shell of himself. Needs to turn back the clock to being the finals like runner-up MVP. I don't know. I don't know what happens here. You know, like Kuminga and Gary Payton Jr. are gonna have to have like 8 fast break points each. I don't know. Too
Yeah,
much.
no. And FYI, Josh, you just got destroyed by Tone Step in the comments with your Pelicans. Your lack of knowledge is showing now.
Oh
What I say? They were
man,
the New Orleans. Wait, I call them New Orleans Pelicans.
they were the
Yeah,
Hornets. Yeah.
Damn.
At
yeah.
least you
So
don't.
I
At least
guess
you're not saying Oakland Raiders like I still do that by accident.
yeah. So
I
this
just
is
fucking
Josh's
shelled
last
out like
show.
I just shelled out like a bunch of real like 6 resounding points for why you should bet on the Thunder. And Tone goes, "It's the New Orleans Hornets, you idiot."
Yeah, and then you just you just kind of lost your
Which is probably
credibility
what the
there. Just
majority of viewers took away from what I said too, is that this dude's an
yeah,
idiot, thought that they were the Pelicans.
yeah. This guy doesn't know anything about the game. No, I do think the Hornets. Now I'm gonna say it. No, I did. No, I just say I like that bet because, as you said, if you're in it, you're in it. Like fool's gold, whatever you want to call it. The Thunder, I think, are still getting a little bit disrespected sometimes with their lines because I think people forget. Like everyone
Okay.
thinks, oh yeah, the Thunder, are this young, their team, like their future is bright. They're young stars. Like no, like that's all true, but
Weird.
they're a good team. Like they're a
They're
They're a
good
good
good.
team. They
team.
have a lot of talent. I mean,
I have
I was
because
actually
of Josh. I bet them to win the NBA championship. Remember that offseason show we had? And I was just like, I can't remember the price. It was like 80-1 to win the
It
NBA
was like
championship.
100. Yeah, it was up
100,
there.
yeah, 180 or something. Like
Yeah.
I went back and looked at my open bets. I was like, holy thanks,
Yeah.
nice. I was like,
Right. It's
yeah,
like it's just one of those things that we always talk about where it's like throw $10 on it, forget it happened,
yeah,
and then come back a few months later and be like, oh shit, I have a chance to win 10 grand.
yeah.
Like,
No, I do think the Thunder are a good team. I also just think one of the props I was looking for in this game, kind of attaching along with Josh liking them to win, is I actually think this should be a good game for Chet Holmgren. I was
I
looking at
was thinking that.
his over under is plus 100 for over 15 and a half points right now on FanDuel. I just think he had what 20 against
19,
the
yeah.
Warriors last time they played, and
19,
now
yeah.
you take out Draymond Green. Like I just think Draymond Green is as much as we make fun of him for being this enforcer, stranglehold, choke, whatever you want to call him. He's a little bit reckless out there, but he's one of the best defenders like that they can send out there. And without him on the court, I just don't know exactly who matches up with Chet on the offensive end. Like I don't know. Like Looney's not athletic enough for it. I just don't know if there's
Kuminga.
anyone that. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone that's going to be able to stop because his shooting has been pretty bad the last 2 games. He has some
yeah.
pretty inefficient nights, but if he gets the
Boutique.
volume he's getting and he gets a little bit more efficient, which I think he will with this matchup, I just think he should flirt around that 20-point mark again. I think 15 and a half should be fairly
Would you play
achievable
him?
for
Would
Chet.
you play him double double, or would you rather take? No, yeah, someone's getting a double double in this team, or would you rather take Josh Giddey? Because the Warriors teams are really easy to offensive rebound against.
Yeah, I like that too because I also think that plays into me liking Chet a little bit more is that if you give me his normal say 8 jump shots and you add in like 2 or 3 putbacks on the offensive glass, I think he has a good night on both the
Yeah,
board.
the only thing I would caution against is like I think this game's ripe for an under. And every time we see these teams play, it's like 140 to 138 or like or
Yeah,
at the lowest it's like 128 120. And this is not going to be that. Like Steph is the pace. Their pace goes down by like 2 when he's not in there over the course of the last couple seasons, like dating back to last year. This year they're somehow a little bit better at limiting teams in terms of second chance points and stuff like that, but they also don't have Draymond Green. How much can you play Kevon Looney or he gets run off the floor by this team that plays with pace. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna be they're just gonna be mismatches and problems. Like it's gonna be like a balloon. You push down on one end, and then the air comes out somewhere else, and you try to push down that. The air just keeps coming out somewhere else where you have a mismatch until you just get paper cut to death by like free throws, fast break points, and the fact that your offense is gonna be bricking.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm just seeing the ball flying off the rim every time they shoot, man. So
Yeah, and
um
I think to
yeah,
that
like real
point,
quick, the Chet thing too for him scoring last game, dude, is just like it was like I said, it was 141 to 139. Played at like a 103 pace. I just don't think you're gonna get. I think you're gonna be down at like a 99 pace. It's Chris Paul just chopping it up, man, making it gross. That's the only way they win. It's like I would be less shocked if it was like 95-90 than I would if it was like, you know what I mean, 230, like 250 total, 240
yeah.
total.
I guess
But
the other thing too is if you take away that, like if you talk about percentages, slower pace, he had 24 points last game, so you take away 40 points from the Thunder, that 20% would also come down. So
fair.
I think you're thinking of that with it being a little bit of a lesser scoring game, almost like I could eat my words later, but it makes me more scared to say play a guy like SGA that has a 32 and a half line
Totally.
or 31 and a half line, and it makes me more advantageous to look at these guys with the lower lines that seem a little bit more attainable because slower pace to score 32 points. I don't care if you're, the best player, which honestly SGA has been that good this season. It's just a little bit
Yeah.
more scary when you think the pace might be a little bit lower. So it has
Yeah,
me
give
looking
us
at
some
more of
Dario
the role
Saric
plays.
lines. Let's get some like, some of those like eight and
Yeah.
a half
Do you think we're gonna
pointers.
get any? Do you think we're gonna get any Stark lines though?
We
I
got
feel
him
like it's one of
last.
those.
We got him last game.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have
I
to
think
wait
they
until
might
like
be
right
coming.
before tip off. They
Yeah.
usually come in. They usually come in later.
There's like now we got like an Isaiah Joe 7.5, case on Wallace 6. Like I might even look there because you have the benefit of like the blowout where they end up playing like 20 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's pretty gross. For the other game, I was waiting for Jaime Jaquez for the Heat and Nets. Like, I don't know if anyone just thinks they see like Heat Nets, I'll take the Heat because Butler's playing and Bam's playing. Relax. Like the Nets actually kind of own this team. They're well suited to play against them and defend against them. So and Claxton's in there. So like I'm looking for like Jaquez because Hero's out. If he comes in at like anything under 10, I would hit an over. Once you
Yeah.
start getting around like 13 and a half, 14 and a half, I'm like, nah, I don't want to touch that. I would even start looking at the under there because they defend that position well. But yeah, it's going to be a fine game. If it's probably going to be like what, like 107 to 100. Like it's not going to be exactly like sexy ball. We probably can't just talk about football if you want.
yeah. I could be honest. I think there's a lot of fun things to look at in the Thunder game, but in that
Yeah,
first game, I don't really have much to really go off of. There's not much I really loved, except for the fact that Duncan Robinson might be the best player in the league. Like
he is.
uh, outside of that, there's not much I loved in that game.
Yeah.
Brad, do you
Where do
have
you got football
anything?
plays?
I didn't take anything NBA. I was just trying to
Oh,
like wait a little bit longer because yesterday I got kind of a little messed up with the. I only took 2 plays, but I got a little messed up with the news. So
injury reports.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of them yesterday, so I'm all good to cut over to the Thursday night football game if you guys are.
Yeah,
Yeah, what
heck yeah,
running
let's
back
do that.
receiving props you got for us, Brian?
I told you
Yeah,
yesterday I didn't go with running back receiving prop. I took Mark Andrews. I took him over 40 for over 54 and a half receiving yards. Honestly, this is a good thing to know if you ever watch our shows because it's up to 58 and a half. So it's moved 4 yards since yesterday's show when we talked about it a little bit. So it pays to get in a little bit earlier because it's moving that direction. I still like it up. I mean, up to like 60. I think he has a great matchup against the Bengals. I know our resident Bengals expert Tone Stamp is producing today, so
Get on in here, bud.
he's probably seen the last few weeks of how the middle of the field has been wide open for some of these tight ends just to break these huge plays down the seam. And Mark Andrews is honestly one of the best tight ends at that. It's weird. He kind of moves clunky, but his yak ability is there, and he always seems to have that random fourth quarter 30-yard, 40-yard catch for no reason. So I just think getting it under 60 here is a really good look for a guy that's going to see probably 6 to 10 targets.
I like
Yeah,
that. I was
that's
going to take his
probably
receptions. His receptions over 4.5 was plus 115
Yeah,
earlier today, but I ended up waiting too long and then it dropped down to plus 105. And I was like, yeah, that's actually a massive dip in value. So I ended up laying off.
yeah. I do think there is what do you call it? There is some value there as well. I think it's always tough to go between the receptions or the yards for certain players. But a guy like Mark Andrews, I always say that if you have the ability to, like I said, always have that random 35-yard catch at any point, I'll always
Yeah.
lean the yards because even if he is sitting there with 2 catches, 34 yards, there's
Yeah.
always that hope that he just finds a seam
That's
in that
fair.
late game. So I do think I went with the yards there. Does you guys have? Do you guys have anything locked in? Because that's the one
I
play I
do.
want. Yeah, what do you
I,
have
I
locked
have
in?
2 plays locked in. My first one, Keaton Mitchell, over 37.5 rushing yards. Harbaugh said that he's going to be getting more action. He's explosive. Bengals are what, uh, 29th against the run this season.
You can just say
So I think
garbage,
the
Brad.
Ravens,
You can just say
yeah, they're
garbage.
garbage against the run. So I took that. I also took Tyler Boyd over 43.5 receiving yards. He's going to he's obviously going to get more work because oh my god, why am I drawing a blank on his name? T Higgins is out.
God
So
damn it.
yeah, T
Never
Higgins
in.
is out. Yeah, so he had
Yeah.
12 targets last week with T Higgins out. So that was pretty simple for me.
Let me see. I'm entering some in the chat right now, so I'm not being rude. Trust me.
Do you guys have a lean on a side either way?
Uh,
I lean Ravens.
yeah, I about to say I
It's
know
just the
Coach Sam
Bengals are
probably.
like, I know Ronnie Stanley's out for the Ravens, but like the Bengals are super banged up too. Like they're just it's unfortunate that they're at that time of the season where they're banged up. You know, like every team
Yeah.
goes through it, and this is their time.
Kind of again.
Yeah, again. So the first was their quarterback. Now
Sorry,
everyone
it's
else is
time
getting
again. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
know,
gonna
kind
say
of
I'm glad
everything up.
I'm glad that Brad brought up Mitchell because I see a lot of people on him and I actually love that because it kind of reminds me of how do we decide
Can I
to
ask you a
pronounce
question
Octane?
before you do that? When
Yeah,
you
sure.
say you see a lot of people on it, like, do you like go on Twitter a lot and like look at
No,
plays, or it's
I'm
just like,
not even. I'm not even saying it's like a weird, like, oh, it's a public curse. I'm saying in the circle of people I talk to that I
oh,
actually
that's
trust,
cool. I
and
wasn't thinking about it, curse. I was just wondering like
no,
which avenue you saw it.
no, I just see it in the people I actually trust to communicate with every single day, and I trust their sharp opinions. I've seen a good amount of my friends like in the industry
That's
that
fair.
have been liking his props because it kind of reminds me of, like I said, when Chain came in with the Dolphins,
Yep.
books don't really know how to use it. Like they don't really know how to set his line because there's just no data to really support the role that they're gonna have. So if you think like I said, of a guy that explosive that we saw it last week 37.5 is one play for a guy like that. That if you think he's going to get those 8, 9 touches, and I think
Yep.
he is going to be great in this offense. So I agree with you that it's really tough to. It's kind of like if you watch the show, I've been betting on Taysom Hill props the last like 4 weeks for rushing yards. They
Yeah.
finally set him like the 25.5 this week, and I didn't bet it. But it's the same thing where he's a tight end that's getting these like 16.5 rushing props, but he's getting like 8 carries a game. Sometimes it's hard to set a line for a guy that you don't really know his role. So I do
Yeah.
think Mitchell is in a good spot.
Yeah.
What do you have locked in, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm actually putting this game in my like pick'em that is for a pretty decent amount of money. So I might like go both like hedge it basically because
Yeah.
we took the Ravens honestly. Like I think both teams coming off of the loss, putting you in this position of like bounce back, whatever. I mean, the Ravens are playing two in division games in a row, and I would say they looked ahead of the Browns for this game. So I do think they kind of go back to like what we think they are in terms
Yeah.
of being able to dominate teams. That if you don't have the defensive line and you don't have the offense, yeah, really the defensive line too at this point is so huge, and then the offensive line in terms of being able to protect as their secondary has been awesome. Obviously, getting also pressure with four has been very helpful. So
Yeah.
like, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, is it's in division, so is like the hook like enough to just scare? Like, are enough people playing the number on the Bengals, or like I was saying to Will the other day, like the Bengals looked like the Giants. It was like what the same game of like, oh, the Cowboys are in the backfield of the Giants. The Browns are just living in the backfield, right? Like, or so I don't, not the Browns, the Texans even. So it's just,
Yeah.
that scares you a lot. Like I thought maybe they turned a corner, and if you can't protect Joe Burrow, it doesn't matter how healthy his cap is.
Yeah, I do think It's hard to not. I know it's like easy to say, hard not leading the team that's minus 180 on the money line, but kind of in conjunction of all that, it should be a closer game just because you had that division matchup type of feel. But I I know Tone's a big Bengals fan, but it's just hard not to lean the Ravens here. I think they're just a better team at almost, I would say, 80% of position groups, and I just think that it's going to be tough for them to protect Joe Burrow in a game where you really have to and give him time, because you don't know how much time of possession you're going to have, because this Ravens team could easily just run the ball like 100 times and keep the ball
100,000
like,
times.
yeah, and just keep possession the entire game. So that's kind of where I think the value are in this game is in like Lamar rushing props, Mitchell rushing props, or Mark Andrews, just because I think it's going to be more of a grosser, not, I don't want to say grosser, but more of a grosser viewership kind of game where the Ravens are going to say, hey, we're going to run the ball. We're going to throw safe passes to our tight end. We're not really going to try to take you deep on like a 40-yard go route. We're just going to hold the ball for 40 minutes, and you got to beat us with your limited possessions.
Has
That's
anybody
100% what I see.
has anybody seen the numbers for Justin Tucker field goals today?
Mm.
No.
The
Why
Ravens
is
have
it?
struggled. The Ravens have struggled a lot in the red zone, like this
Mm.
season.
His kicking points is 7.5.
That's
Seven and a
I would
half, so
I
it's
would
two
say that's
field goals.
why they've lost. Like, is their inability, like their ability to maintain a drive is obviously like
Great.
almost unrivaled. But once they get there, that's cost them the game against the Steelers off top, right? Like it was touchdowns versus field goals for them, and
Yep.
they were dominating that game and only winning by one possession
That
throughout
means
it. So
yeah, that probably means if that's the price, then for his kicking points, then he's probably like minus 150 for two field goals or
yeah.
more. I was looking at his log too against the Bengals. He's had like 3 or 4 field goals in every game, like the past 2 years against the Bengals.
What are the
Which
attempts like too for him? Obviously, you want to know. Like he's
um,
getting up like 4 or 5.
let me see. Hold on, I can pull it
I
up.
mean, not 4 or 5 field goals, probably like 4 attempts though. In those
Against the
games.
Bengals in the last 2 seasons, it's been at least 3. So at least
Yeah.
3 in every game.
Not 5, yeah.
They play each other 3
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah. So if you're looking to, it's Justin Tucker 7.5 is plus 112. So what's that? That's 2 extra points and 2 field goals for him to cash that over.
What was the final score earlier this year? Does anybody know?
For which game?
Did they
I
play
got
each
you
other?
guys.
Yeah, it was
They did.
27-24.
Yeah, it was 20. Yeah.
Uh,
About to say
is that
Jones
27-24 Ravens.
Is that the most amount of points a team's put up on the Ravens?
24.
Yeah.
Didn't
No,
they
the
just give
Browns.
up? Didn't they just give up 33?
Oh, you're sorry.
Browns.
Yeah, you're right. I was
That
kind of focused.
Browns
I was focused on a different game.
Yeah.
That Browns game was tough to watch.
Yeah, you're right.
I felt bad. I was at my wife's family's house and they're Ravens. Oh man, we left right when the game was over. I was like, yeah, we got to get out of here.
Yeah, like we gotta get out of here before things start breaking.
The
But
vibes are low. We need to exit.
yeah, I'm excited for that possibility, because that week 2 game was actually a really fun game to watch. So I hope this is like whoever wins. I don't have either side in a ticket. I just hope it's a good game to watch rather
I
than
will.
watching,
I will say
third
the
string
story.
quarterback on Thursday Night Football just spike the ball. What's up,
Sorry,
Tone?
sorry to interrupt you, Brian. I will say the story of that week 2 game was the Ravens jumping out ahead and the Bengals climbing back. And so it's kind of the same thing the Ravens have been doing all year. Whereas in the second half, they haven't been that great of a team. They, especially in the fourth quarter, I think I learned somewhere they had like a weirdly high like turnover differential, or sorry, I guess in this context, a low turnover differential in the fourth quarter. It's like they can't close out games unless they have a gigantic lead. This all being said, I actually lean Ravens on this game. So
You lean Ravens. Okay.
yeah, I lean Ravens.
It's always tough. It's always tough to say to have to admit that to yourself as a
Yeah,
fan, to say
I-
you lean one way or the other.
I just think that the Ravens are going to get out to too fast of a start for the Bengals to catch up. I think, I don't think they hold the Bengals offense down to like 3 points or something. I mean, I guess it's very possible, but I don't think that ends up happening. But I think the Bengals' ways of winning have been to get out to a lead and to, smother that team that is trailing. And I just don't see that happening against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens on the road. on Thursday night. It's just it's
Yeah.
tough. It is tough to do that.
Especially with the Ravens coming off a loss. Like I know the Bengals came off a loss, but the home team off a loss is like,
Yeah.
that's tough.
But there is something to be said. It's an AFC North game. You know,
maybe it's
who knows? Maybe it's a
maybe it is
10-7 game.
But
Maybe
Yeah.
it's a tie. Maybe it ends in a tie, like a 13-13 game.
Oh God, wouldn't be the first time.
No, fuck that.
I
will be there tonight. That would be depressing.
The Ravens coming out hot and like owning the first quarter or half.
I think they win the first half.
I wonder what's
The
the odds
Ravens?
for that. Let me see.
Yeah, because it kind of feels like what we're saying here is like the home team is going to be. I mean, the vibes ride high at the beginning of the game. It's not like they always last unless you keep scoring, etc. So,
according to Pickett Sports, first half spread is -2.5 for the Ravens.
Be worth it.
I will say, I think the past like 4 or 5 games, the Bengals have had a lead off drive touchdown. So, but they've stalled after that, like they did against the Texans last week, and then just proceeded to not really score until the second half.
I had Bengals yesterday. I had Bengals and a teaser. Then I was like, oh, we're golden. We're golden. They scored the first touchdown, and then when they went down, I ended up taking Bengals plus the points, which was the worst sweat of my entire life. Remember, I was texting in the chat. That was the worst sweat of my entire life.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the worst part is they should have won that game, but oh well.
I guess my question to you guys is, in the theme of me always picking the random ass props for certain games like this, what are your thoughts? We talked about earlier about how the Ravens are gonna make things hard for Joe Burrow and that offensive line. His rushing yards is 12.5. If we all lean Ravens and we think he's gonna be uncomfortable in the pocket and they're gonna be throwing a lot more, I don't hate 12.5 for 1 or 2 scrambles in a game that he might have to drop back a lot if we think the Ravens start off hot. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
I would say watch for if they're getting to him in the backfield a lot, not necessarily just scrambling, but if they feel comfortable enough at rushing for it that they're able to drop in the cover too. Joe might just see a lane where he just says "fuck it" and just runs on the snap.
Yeah,
my problem is I'd rather have Joe at 9.5. Like I just feel like that's a good quarterback line.
Yeah, I guess. But what do you have last week? Was it 20, 23 last week? I forget what it was.
Wow.
But I'll say this: this is more.
And they were getting like your logic. Your logic is 100% correct of what happened last game. Like they were getting pressure on him, and then he was like taking off.
Yeah, I'll say this: this is one of those things where I probably won't bet it, as Brad said, with the line being 12.5. But if you see like me and Brad talked about earlier before the show, that it's hard for books sometimes to adjust for situations or live lines. If the Ravens are up like say 10-3 and you think the Bengals are going to throw a lot and Burrow's sitting there with 0 rushing yards and that line at half drops to like 5.5, I would put a half unit or a unit on that. Like I think if you get a good line live with them being down in the game, because they're not afraid to have like 50, 60 dropbacks in that offense. So if you do see like a live line drop, I'll probably hop on and I'll probably text in the group chat when I like see it at a good price.
Yeah,
because I think he's gonna have like that 1 second half, like you said. If things aren't working, he's not afraid to just say, all right, screw it, I'm gonna just try to take this lane and do something myself.
Also, speaking of live, if the Bengals are down 10 in the third quarter, take Joe Burrow pass attempts. Their run game's not good enough to come back, like for them to come back. They abandon the run so fast when they're down.
Yeah, no, you can sometimes you see these stat lines of the Bengals and you check in, it's like Joe Burrow 63 pass attempts. And you're like, holy shit!
You're like, what? The run when they're losing.
I mean, sometimes they abandon the run when they're winning.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the new NFL at times, I think, is, you look at the Bills, you look at the Bengals, some of these teams are just like, all right, we have half of the facet of the game. We're just going to ride that. And sometimes it ends up, kicking you in the ass because it's happened before where the Chiefs do it sometimes. I think it's one of the reasons the Chiefs never cover is that they never run the football. And then they're like, wow, how did I have the ball again? And it's like, I don't know, maybe you had a 38-second 3-and-out. Like maybe that's what happened. Yeah. So I think in this game, I'm just going to be looking for live lines on either Mitchell if he doesn't get the drive. Like, I actually hope Mitchell gets no carries in the first drive and it drops to like 28.5 because I do think he's going to get used at some point. So I think sometimes people panic after one drive, which is just not the way to do things. And I think you can actually find better value if you can wait live on these games.
That's fair.
The only other thing I was looking at too is anybody have a a feeling about the total because of the, you know what I mean? Like the idea that 25-7 to the under on these prime times, etc.
Yeah,
The
46 is one of those.
46.5. Yeah,
Yeah, 46 on FanDuel. Pick it sports shout out.
that's not a great
It's
under. You'd rather have it on DraftKings.
I'm saying like if you're looking for the I was just giving
Oh,
both
the over, yeah.
lines. Is it? Yeah, I'm saying it's 46 even or 46 and a half.
Yeah.
So it's actually funny. Last time we talked about this on Monday Night Football, I took the live over and I ended up middling, which is fun. So maybe that's what I do prime time is bet it under the start, and then after it gets gross in the first 2 or 3 drives and it drops, bet the over. But
Yeah.
yeah, I said it before. This is like one of those division games. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 17-21 or in that 17-14 range. I mean, both these
division
offenses are
primetime
really
game.
fun. Both these offenses are fun. They can put up points. We saw it week 2,
Could.
27-24. But sometimes these divisional games, you're familiar with them, and things just get really gross really fast. I don't hate
Yeah.
an under.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on that? The over under here, Brad, at 46 or 46
I would just take
and a
it
half?
blindly just because of the trends.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like, and it's a short week. That kind of helps
Just,
as well.
and if you're gonna do it this week, like do all 3. Give yourself a little feel for it. If you feel like you just get burned and you're late to the party, then whatever, back out and it'll probably hit
Everyone's
next
like,
week.
holy shit, did you see that game last night? It was 97 to 84
at the half.
at the half. Josh is sitting there with $250 on it under 46 and a half, and
Yeah.
both teams scored 50.
Yeah.
He's like, this isn't fun at all.
And I just keep hitting the under live too as like a
Yeah.
sprinkle.
There's nothing worse than having to check your account, and it's just like, even if it's like small, it's just like all these like under, and you're like, no, there's no way this pace keeps up. And it's a
Yeah, I
block
know.
punt return for a touchdown, and it's a whole thing.
So
In the
bad.
chat, someone said Mitchell 80 yards and a touchdown. It's a nice Lotto ticket. Yeah, I mean, you're banking on a guy like Mitchell, where his red zone work probably won't be there as much as you would ever hope, but his big playability, if he's going to score, you have to imagine it's going to be on a big play. So if you're going to take his touchdown, you might as well pair it with like his alt yards, because he's not going to score from 3 yards out.
I forgot to say I
score
took
from
his
40.
touchdown. I took his touchdown at plus 220. I forgot to say that.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's good. I think it should be a fun game. I don't know if you guys have anything else to add before we wrap up.
I'm going to do my sleeper, but let's answer this question. Would you guys take Dak MVP at 35-1?
See, it's tough because the avenue for the Cowboys to get the 1 seed and like be super relevant is really tough. Like between the Eagles and the Lions, that not that you need the 1 seed to get the MVP,
Yeah.
but it sure as hell helps. And the avenue to get that 1 seed is really kind of bleak for that team. I think I would want a better number. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I just feel like I'd probably take CD, like anything CD first, first and foremost.
I know it is the most valuable quarterback award. We all know that.
It really is.
Yeah. No, I mean, no, on principle. I get what you're saying. I just don't think the path to like them being the best team either is there.
Yeah, it's 30-1 on FanDuel. I guess like, so he's 30-1, Jared Goff's 30-1, Trevor Lawrence is 30-1. Our guy Josh Allen 28-1 now. I just
who's our guy?
wasn't you guys saying take Josh Allen?
Don't you put that evil on me? Oh no, I did say that. Oh
yeah,
no, I said
it was 100% you on Monday that said
it looks
it now
so bad. It aged very poorly, very quickly.
I was watching the game, and it's not even trolling you, but I just had that sentence in my head where you're like, take it now before they win tonight.
Me and Will back and forth into like, yeah, wait, I think this is the best bet. And like 7 hours later, he farts all over Nashville television.
Yeah. I just think, I guess in that realm, that I think the avenue for a guy like Lawrence, Goff, even McCaffrey, I feel like it's easier. It's almost like an easier path, I think, than a Dak Prescott. So I don't know. It's a tough one. Yeah. I just think we talked about earlier. It's the guys that are at the top, like Mahomes, Hurts, Tua, and like the Lamar and even Burrow, and throwing CJ Stroud in there now. I just think they're so far ahead of some of the guys that not only do you have to play awesome football the second half of the year, you have to hope that 3 or 4 guys also just collapse or just play really mediocre. So I think it's hard to leapfrog 2 or 3 guys in that award.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything to add?
Let me give my sleeper play.
Yeah, give your sleeper play. I was about to say we can do.
By the way, By the way, the
I
last sleeper
got
play I gave, a 6-legger. Every leg hit except for Drew Holiday steal, and he had a steal, and the books called it a rebound. I was so mad because the guy possessed the ball, literally 2 hands on the ball, and
Yeah.
Drew Holiday steals it from him. They called it
I think this is like
rebound.
this is a really bad practice for me to say, but I know a lot of people like defensive NBA props. That's one thing. I've never got into them for the exact reason. Just because like even there's times I would bet a guy under in rebounds and it's like, it looks like a steal and then it's like, oh, it's a block
Yeah,
and a rebound. And I'm like, oh, like it just sucks at times because assists, steals, rebounds, blocks, they're all at the, you know, whatever the scorekeeper wants to call it, which your opinion of it could be a lot different than the other opinions of the people that write down the stats.
yeah. I'm gonna go first leg of the sleeper. Nikita Kucherov over 3.5 shots on goal against the Blackhawks. Kucherov has hit this in 5 straight games, 80% on the year. This one's the sketchy leg, but I needed to get a little bit more value to make it worth my while. Jack Eichel is the sketchy leg, over 3.5 shots on goal against the Canadians. The Habs are what allow the second most shots on goal. Eichel is averaging a little bit over 3.5, but he's been flirting with that 3 line. The reason I took this is because they're going to dominate the offensive zone ice time, which kind of helps that bet. It's just if he wants to shoot it. Next, Sidney Crosby to score a point. I love to say this because the Penguins started off so terrible, but they're the hottest team in hockey right now. They've won 5 straight, outscoring their opponents. Oh man, 24-8. He's got a point in almost every single one of those games during that streak. And then the bet I talked about, Tyler Boyd over 44.5 yards. If you invest $25, your return is $155.75.
Awesome. I like that. I think it's Tyler Boyd to go off and all those unknown Jamar Chases and other people that you probably never heard of have a
Yeah.
quiet night. So give me the randos for not, actually I shouldn't say that because like let's not act like Mark Andrews is not like one of the most well known players like out
Yeah.
there. But yeah, I do think Tyler Boyd he had a few great plays last week as well. I think
Dude,
he gets literally lost in that offense. Like,
betting him live last week was like the best thing ever. And like it was so sweat free. Like they set his line at 35.5, I think what it was, and he already had 28. And they had a
yeah.
whole quarter and a half to play. And I was like, what is going on? Like that's what I was we talked about this off air for anybody listening. Like I didn't have the availability to bet player props live until gambling became legal.
It's
in
awesome
Florida.
until you somehow go 0-4 one time. You're like, what
Yeah,
the fuck? Like,
I've been hooked. They got me.
yeah,
I'm a live better anyway. Like I use a spreadsheet to live bet, but I normally
yeah,
do like corner props and
yeah,
totals.
yeah.
But this has been really fun. I need to build like a player prop spreadsheet. See if I could do that. That'd be cool.
I mean, not to get too into it, but yeah, there was a time where the Eagles played the Commanders the first time this year, where
Yeah,
it was kind of a tie game, but the Commanders had the ball, and it's like, okay, they're gonna tie. Like, it's gonna be a tie game. The Eagles are gonna get one more possession, and was it Smith and AJ Brown that both their yardage was 3.5 like
yeah,
yards more than their current total yards. So I put a unit on both, and they actually both ended up hitting in the drive. So it's like stuff like that where it's like, all right, like I'm not super smart, but if the Eagles get the ball and it's not like some weird turnover on a muff punt, they're gonna
yeah.
get they're gonna have at least 3 plays to get 4 yards. So it's always fun to kind of when it's clicking like that. But as as the time winds down, because even Josh left us, I think it's time I think that's the
Yeah,
ultimate sign that we have to end the show. Is even our
I'm
co-host
down.
just left and got bored. So we talked a lot about a lot. I mean, this is a small slate, so I think we covered a lot for it only being 2 okay-ish NBA games, and then what should be a
Yeah.
great Thursday night game. So, Brad, I appreciate being on. I appreciate you staying to the end, unlike some people. We
Yeah, dude.
we appreciate half of Josh, and then as always, we appreciate Tone Stamp producing. We hope the Bengals. Hey, you said you're going to be there today, Tone? Is that true? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I'll
gonna be
be
really
there.
fun.
Yeah.
That's gonna be really fun. If it goes your way, it'll be even more fun. But we always appreciate Picket Sports and Sleeper Picks, and we'll see you guys tomorrow at noon.
Awesome. See you guys.